spotlight review of the Transformers Siege War for Cybertron Trilogy Leader Class Ultra Magnus. But before we take a look at the action figure at hand, let's put him aside for a moment so we can take a good look at the packaging as partake of every single video review on this channel. Starting off with the open window container on the front of the packaging with the very nice honeycomb shapes and this Cybertronian symbol here. And right in front of all that we have War for Cybertron number 13 Ultra Magnus with a beaten down Autobot logo. Looks pretty cool. Also, there's another beaten down Autobot logo right there. Transformers Siege War for Cybertron Trilogy. Ages 8 and plus. Hasbro's logo. Transformers. Leading straight up to the Takara Tomy logo at the top right corner. That's right, you Misaligned Generations logo. You are now second class. And taking a look at the left side of the packaging, and here we got that very nice promotional artwork for Transformers Siege. Down below that, we've got the authentic Transformers stamp, which to remind you, if it doesn't say authentic, it's a knockoff. Transformers Siege War for Cybertron Trilogy on the other side of the packaging, and here we've got a very nice artwork for Ultra Magnus going into combat, or pointing at some Decepticons. Attack! Down below all that we have Leader Class, and what's this? That's right, on the side of packaging for the Leader Class action figures, their boxes have some hidden messages, such as War for Cybertron number 13. That strange symbol that keeps showing up on the Autobot packages. Some more Cybertronian hieroglyphics that I can't even read. And finally, Ultra Magnus Transformers. See, you don't need a black light to read any of this. Just listen to what I say, because it's all true. And here's a look at the top of the packaging, in case you were wondering what's on the top of the packaging. Well, here is what's on the top of the packaging. And here's a look at the bottom of the packaging. And here's another authentic Transformer stamp, which to remind you, if it doesn't say authentic, it's a knockoff. And finally, taking a look at the back of the package, here says Ultra Magnus, War for Cybertron number 13. Ultra Magnus! Though they're calling him combat ready. Ultra Magnus! And Robots in Disguise Ultra Magnus. Oh! Yeah, we'll get more detail on that in just a bit. In case you want to know, it's 14 steps from the cab to this, 12 steps from this to this, and finally 20 steps from this to this. I meant this. Select opponent. Doo-doo! Shockwave. Dun-dun-dun. Leave none left standing till all are won. Round one, fight. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Oh, come on, not again. And as I go about teasing Ultra Magnus once again, we've got another barricade in the road. And that is the instructions. We'll go right through it real quickly. See, that was quick. I'm taking a look at Ultra Magnus in his carrier mode. It is definitely an influence, or should I say an inspiration, taken from the RID model of Ultra Magnus. That's right, the Car Robots model, not the 2015 RID series. So taking a good look all around, as you can see, the front of it definitely resembles the flat-nosed truck from Ultra Magnus in Robots in Disguise, with some very nice triple barrel cannons here, make up the front. We also have a very nicely printed, straight-centered Autobot logo with some nice weathering going on here. So yeah, battle damage, always a plus in the War for Cybertron line. There's a look at the headlights and the unpainted grille, which I'm probably going to have to paint myself. Anyway, we do have some nice robotic details on the inside of the windows here, as this is actually painted silver on the inside, with the outside being just clear plastic. And here's some of the floodlights from the top of the vehicle, painted up nicely. There's a look at the side of the front of the cab. We got some very big blasters here, making up smokestacks, I guess. Or you can rotate them up and pretend he's firing as he's driving. Watch out, Decepticons. And then we got the traditional shoulder rockets for Ultra Magnus in the back. A very nice blaster right here at the top. Here's a look at the back, which we do have some robot kibble. Unfortunately, it's nothing that can be done. Taking a look at these nicely painted wheels, and yes, they are nicely painted. Painted. Okay, I'll stop gushing now. And just kidding, we got one more thing to look at, and that is obviously what I'm going to call the rib cage to the trailer. Yay! It's definitely influenced off of the Robots in Disguise design, only it's not gray, it's blue this time around, and no Autobot symbol. Of course, though, the Car Robots figure never had an Autobot symbol on the side of his trailer anyway. And taking a look at the bottom, you can see very little robot kibble here, unless you really want to point out that these are the obvious legs. And then, of course, there's the eyesore of this mode, and that is this huge gap where my thumb is. Right here. Yeah. Very huge. very much an eyesore. Nothing that can be done about that. And here's one last look at the top of the vehicle form, and as you can see, this is where all the red comes into play on this guy. The only sad part about this vehicle form is that it can't actually do what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be a car carrier, and there's nowhere to fit any vehicles on this. The only thing I can think of is putting Optimus Prime up here for a fine example, and as you can see, even though he's way too big, there's really hardly any space anyway. A Scout class would be a bit of a stretch. But hey, if you work at it, I'm sure you'll find something that can fit up there. Anyway, we're pretty much done with this. Not much else to really say about it, so what do you say we dare to compare with Voyager class Megatron and Optimus Prime? And then Voyager class... Sorry, Leader class Shockwave. I don't care what anyone says about you. You'll be my #1 guy. Alright, so we've had a little fun as it is going through the vehicle form. What do you say we go ahead and take him into his very first mode, which is obviously a white Optimus Prime. Right, let's do it. So to start off with, we're going to go ahead and remove all the weapons from the trailer. Especially at the top here. This likes to sit in there pretty tight. Remove these as well. And this one. There we go. And now that we've cleaned house, let's go ahead and remove the trailer. But be forewarned, you don't want to put too much force on these clips down here, because that's what keeps this front bit of the trailer in place. And we'll do the same thing on this side here. Just untab it like so. Unlock the top. Slide out. And we don't need the trailer right now, so we're going to go ahead and put this away for the time being, so we can take a look at Optimus Prime, obviously. So to start off the transformation, what we're going to do is we're going to separate the legs, which they already were. Now, as you go about reversing the transformation back to truck mode, what you want to do, first of all, is make sure the legs are straight up like this, because there's actually these small little tabs right here that are going to go into slots right there. And only then can you actually lock the legs right back into place. And there you go. Right, so back to the transformation. Separate this. Get enough clearance. Bring them down on some nice clicking joints. You can go ahead and flip out the heel spurs. Come back to this section and separate the arms like so. What we can do now is rotate this entire top section like so. Open up the chest compartment, which is very tight on my figure, and bring it down. Obviously, there's his head. Flip it out. Close this back up. There's a tab and there's a hole right there. We're just going to go ahead and snap them into place. Rotate that the wrist section on both arms. Come back here and line up the spinal cord with this bottom section here, which we're going to slide up and lock into place. What we do now is we can take the front section of Optimus Prime here and slide it back. And make sure that tab's right into place as well. And that gives us a much cleaner look from the side profile, doesn't it? Go ahead and readjust everything to your liking here. And voila, there is Optimus Prime in his robot mode. Okay, I know it's Ultra Magnus, but come on, it's obviously a white Optimus Prime, as it's always been a tradition with Ultra Magnus, unless it's being a solo figure himself, which means the cab doesn't transform into a separate white Optimus Prime robot. And as far as I know, the only one that's actually ever done that... Okay, well, there were two. Okay. There were two Ultra Magnuses as far as I know. Okay, 3. We had Robots in the Skies Ultra Magnus from 2001. Then we had the diecast version back in 2007, I believe. And finally, we had the IDW one from the Chug line. You can see that we do have a very nice Optimus Prime head sculpt here. It's very nice. Got some painted red eyes, some silver for the face, and then the mouth plate is actually painted in blue. Definitely reminds me of the original Generation 1 Ultra Magnus / Optimus Prime cab robot. And then the crest is painted in blue as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. And here's a good look at the torso and the crotch section. As you can see, very nicely painted in this nice teal metallic color. Very nice. Here's a nice look at the thigh section with that very nicely painted on battle damage going down to the shins. And as you can see, we got the nice vents, which would make up the legs for Optimus Prime, obviously. Got some very tiny little feet on this figure. But, oh well, it's part of the transformation. The figure does sport some very nice heel spurs that work like a boss. Like a boss! There's those nicely painted wheels again. Onto the back of the figure, and here's the obvious backpack of the figure, being the bumper section of the truck mode, which worked. Plus, he's got some guns in the back, which means no sneak attack from the Decepticons from behind. Figure also has some unpainted smokestacks, but hey, it's fine. I'll let it slide. Very nice printed Autobot logo right there on the left shoulder. And I think that about wraps it up here. Going into the articulation on the figure, and it does have a ball joint for the head. Got a swivel cut here at the shoulders. We also have a hinge joint on the inside to allow some inward and outward movement. Got a bicep swivel cut below that. Single jointed elbows that does get 9 degrees of bend. Wrist rotation, which is always a plus on my Transformer figures. Waist rotation. Some nice clicking joints at the hip to get this much kicking forward, this much going back. And let's see if he can do it. Can he do it? Yes, he can. We got a full JCVD split. So there's your silk quality, people. Enjoy it. The figure also has a thigh swivel cut right there by that mushroom peg. We have single jointed knees that does get 9 degrees of bend. That's all you can really ask for. And the back heel spurs do have a hinge for up and down movement. But the feet themselves only have an ankle rocker pivot. And we do have some weapon storage here on this figure. Your peg and hole system here at the ankles. You can put his guns here. You can put his shoulder missiles here on the forearms. But they really don't stay in place. But you also have the option of putting them right here at the top shoulders. I got the wrong one. Haha, there we go. And for some particular reason, this actually stays locked in place pretty good. And you got this peg hole right here with this giant peg for the handle of his main weapon. And that looks awkward, doesn't it? Well, of course the figure should actually be holding it. And as you can see now, Ultra Prime is packing some heat. Moving on up into the video review, and let's do some Dare to comparisons with Voyager Class Optimus Prime and Voyager Class Megatron. That's not all. Leader Ultra Prime with Leader Shockwave. And now finally we can get to the big feature of this whole entire set, and that is taking our white Optimus Prime and turning him into Ultra Magnus. So to start things off, using the trailer back here, what we're going to do is we're going to untab all of this from the sides. Easier said than done. Just like that, flip it up, come over here and separate this section just a little bit so you can get this top section out of here. Come down here and grab these two bits right here, and we're going to unplug them from the lower section of the trailer. We'll come back to those shortly. And separate the legs. Fold this panel in like so. Fold this panel in like that. And then we're going to fold down like so and line all this up in an L shape. These two tabs are going to go into two slots inside these trailer guards. And here we have one leg. Repeat the same process. Fold that in. On this hinge here, fold all the way in. Fold this down like so. And then all this is going to come together once again in an L shape. Tabs into slots like so. And here we have both legs. For the shoulders of Ultra Magnus, they're on a slider joint, so just unslide them. Angle these panels up like so, and that's pretty much it for now. Come back to the top section of the trailer and flip it around. Hey, obvious head syndrome. Go ahead and remove this block here. It's on a very tight peg. Repeat the same process on this side. There we go. There's this red panel here, and we're going to flip this inside like so. Come back here and fold this section up and clip it into place. And we're about there, but there's one thing that we gotta do about Ultra Prime here. Go ahead and split apart his shoulders. Open up the chest area. It's very difficult. And flip his head back in. Close it all back up, like so. Lock the shoulders back in place. Grabbing the side of his waist, you want to pull the whole chest section forward. Or it may be easier if you just pull it by the crotch. Line up the spinal cord with the butt section and slide this section back down. And then we can slide the whole torso back in place by the spinal cord. Open up the crotch section. Yes, that's right. Play around with it. Rotate it around is what I meant by that. And fold it back up. And here we have the headless Ultra Prime ready for combination into Ultra Magnus. To kick things in gear, no pun intended, we're going to start from the lower section and work our way up. So for the legs, we got the clips here that are going to slot right into those two slots right there where my thumb's pointing at. There's a tab right here that's also going to coincide with that slot right there. Line it up and then push it in, and it stays in there pretty securely. Repeat the same process on this side. There we go. Next, for these very nicely battle damaged forearm guards, what we're going to do is we're going to open up this panel here. There's a giant peg right here that's going to coincide with this hole right here on his forearm. Slide that sucker through. Close that sucker back up. Rinse and repeat. like so. Now for the shoulders. There's no peg and hole feature here at the top of the shoulder. Instead, what it is just a slider connection, which is going to use this smokestack here. So line it up properly and slide it through. Make sure you hold this in place because this panel right here is going to take that slot right there and it's going to go into that tab right there. And it's a little bit of a challenge at first, but after a while you will get used to it. Once again, on the right side, slide it in between the smokestack. Come to the back and hold this in place as you're taking this gray panel here and flipping this all up. Giving your best attempt to lock this into place, like so. A very nice click. The next thing to do is to work with the top section. So for the last assembly of Ultra Magnus, these two clips right here are going to slot right into the spinal cord, just like that. Pull this top section down. These blue tabs right here are going to coincide with these slots right here on his chest. Tab those in. And here we have Ultra Magnus in his robot mode, but something doesn't look right. Oh yeah, right, the accessories. So what we can do with these guns here is we can tab them in right here. Repeat the same thing on this side here. His traditional shoulder rockets go where else but on his shoulder. There we go. And finally, let's give him his primary blaster. And now, here's the complete Ultra Magnus figure. Check out all the detail on this figure. I mean, this armor set is incredible. And the best part about it, it's not third party. Eat that, City Commander. I love this transformation step here with the crotch piece where you flip it around to the belt of Ultra Magnus. I'm still loving the weather effects going on with the hips. I do like how the blasters are here on the side in case he needs them. And the paint job is really crisp and clean. There is no sloppiness whatsoever. We got some battle damage here for the feet, where obviously most of the damage would actually be. But I gotta say, I don't agree with the actual battle damage on the inside of the forearm. It should actually be on the outside. It would make more sense. And this is not irreversible. There is nothing you can do about this. You cannot switch these forearms around. But where that fault is, it totally makes up for the chest bit. As you can see, we got some very nice battle damage going on here. I love it. Would be nice if we had a cracked window somewhere, but I could do that myself if I want to customize it or ruin the figure, is what I meant. And take a look at that Ultra Magnus head sculpt. That is very nice painted blue eyes. The very nice serious look at his face. The very nicely painted silver antennas. But the sad part about it is there's no light piping this round. For shame. Now you can see a little bit of a difference between the blues here. This is actually the color of the plastic and this is actually painted over white plastic. But from far away it's not really that noticeable. It's really close. This is definitely not Bumblebee issues. Take a look at the back of the action figure and now you can see we got a little bit of a backpack going on here and there doesn't seem to be any paint whatsoever, so it's kind of bleh. But then again, you're not going to display your figures from the back. I mean, what collector does that? Here's a good look at his bumper butt. Sporting some nice weather effects, and as you can see, once again, the Decepticons are not going to sneak up from behind, especially at the butt. But I guess this would be a fine time to point out that there is, in fact, a butthole. So if you wanted to plug something in there, that's what she said, it is an option, you sickos. So moving right along to the articulation, because this is a whole new figure, believe it or not. We do have a ball-jointed head, though we can't get any side-to-side pivoting, so no inquisitive poses. Aww. But that's okay, we got some nice rotation here at the shoulders. Once again, we got the hinge joint from Ultra Prime, and the bicep swivel's still there. The single jointed elbow is still there, still gets 9 degrees of bend. Wrist rotation is not a problem. Waist rotation is still here. The hip joints still get this much kicking forward, though it is limited going back. But even Ultra Magnus himself can still pull off a very nice JCVD split, so there's another still quality, people. 2 for the price of 1 video. And we got that thigh swivel cut as well, still on the mushroom peg. You still get 9 degrees of bend at the single jointed knee, and the figure still sports some very nice ankle rocker pivot. Although this is as close as the legs can get together without looking ridiculous. You see what I'm talking about here, twinkle toes? Alright guys, it's that time again. Let's dare to compare with some other Transformer figures from the Siege line, starting with Voyager class Optimus Prime and Megatron. Followed by Leader Shockwave. And finally, Leader Shockwave. Regardless of what you think so far about these figures, I do love these figures. They do have a certain charm to them. It's definitely the engineering that they have come up with. Hasbro has nailed it. Now, I can nitpick a lot of things about them, but that would take a lot more time to do, more than I'm actually willing to put up with any longer in this video. But overall, Ultra Magnus gives me everything I want, and then some. I love the return of the white Optimus Prime figure underneath all this armor. It's definitely Ultra Magnus. It harkens back to the Generation 1 action figure, which I never got to experience for myself, because I was a 90s kid. But if I do have to throw out any inconveniences, it's the blasters that are on the side of his legs. They serve no purpose whatsoever. They're additional pieces that are probably going to go into a plastic bag because I'm not going to really use them. Everything I want with Ultra Magnus comes in the form of his shoulder rockets and his primary blaster, and that's all I really need. And of course the armor. You can't have Magnus without his armor. Unless you want a white Optimus Prime, which, you know, I'm fine with. That figure alone is pretty cool, but he's not worth the 40 bucks. Definitely an incredible set for a leader class scale. Yes, it's much smaller than your past leader class action figures, but you gotta understand the economy and the way it is right now, which is pretty bad. So yeah, it is a little less bang for your buck at the time, but it's definitely a really cool figure. The power is in the transformation. It definitely is. This is where the play value comes out of the Transformers as a whole. Unless you want to go the cheap route, then go buy those Scout Cyberverse figures. Have you seen the transformation on those things? I'm not judging you. It's not my intention. I'm here to give you my 2 cents about these figures. As I used to say on my channel, you wanted my opinion, here's my opinion. I love this set. Ultra Magnus is definitely the best out of this line. Shockwave is a close second. Optimus Prime is third, and of course Megatron being the tank that he always seems to be nowadays, it's kind of, you know, it is what it is. It's not to say that the figure's bad, but it could have been so much better had a little more time and effort put in place. Each one of these leader class figures, which is Shockwave and Ultra Magnus, are going for $40 each. Unless you're buying them on eBay, then you're going to pay double if not triple the amount at the moment. My advice to you is to wait until these figures pop up in stores. They're worth the $40 price. Some people are going to say differently. I'm going to tell you the way it is coming from my experience here, my preference. Both figures are worth it, especially Shockwave. It's the Voyager class figure we always wanted for Shockwave for the Chug series. We finally got it, and then we got Then Some, which is all that add-on armor. And it definitely does show what a character he truly is, being a mad scientist. Because I'm sure he created that monstrosity himself. And who's to say we won't actually see this design in the IDW comic. However, in the end, yes, my love goes to Ultra Magnus. This would be my second favorite. And ever since I pulled these figures out of packaging, I can't get enough of transforming them. I leave them in one position for a little while, and then I just got the sudden urge to want to transform them again, and again, and again. These are some fun action figures. They do have their problems, and I will admit it. Shockwave could have used a little more War for Cybertron battle damage, and Ultra Magnus has quite enough. But I love the fact that Ultra Magnus can still hold up when the articulation and the combination comes into play. This figure is not a loose mess. He's pretty solid. He's got some heft to him as well. And I forgot to mention that that's the same for Shockwave as well. So yeah, if you love the Chug series, if you love Generation 1, this is going to be a home run for you. Unless you really got to pick on this guy. Again, not everybody's cup of tea. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. Just don't insult anybody that likes these figures. Like moi. So if you got the money, go ahead and cough it up. Get these figures. They're worth it. They are so worth it. You will not be disappointed with the results. So questions or comments, you know what to do. Hit it down below in the comment section of the video. If you like today's video review, hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to give me a sub up. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. Don't forget to throw in the towel. And until then, my friends, this is the unprofessional toy reviewer Hasbro signing off by saying, when the opportunity persists, don't give up on your dreams. Siege the moment. Thanks for watching.